If one were to conjure the political equivalent of a bad toothache, persistent, irritating, and entirely preventable, one would land squarely on the phenomenon of Donald Trump. The very existence of this political spectacle, this gaudy carnival barker now occupying the highest office, speaks volumes not merely about the man himself, but about a far more alarming pathology infecting the democratic body politic, the wholesale embrace of the anti-intellectual. We are witnessing the triumph of a calculated, almost aggressive ignorance. This is not the noble, humble ignorance of the philosopher who knows he knows nothing, but the arrogant, chest-thumping variety that mistakes volume for veracity and simple repetition for reasoned argument. Trump, with his almost heroic indifference to fact, history, or coherent policy, serves as the perfect avatar for this movement. He is the mirror, reflecting back the deep, simmering resentment felt by those who believe the so-called elites, the thinkers, the writers, the professors have somehow betrayed them. Hitchens always reserved his deepest contempt for those who sought to degrade public discourse and flatten the landscape of human curiosity. Trump's rhetoric, stripped bare, is a weapon aimed directly at complexity, nuance, and doubt, the three essential pillars of any free and rational mind. His sentences, often unfinished, and always unburdened by subordinate clauses, are not accidents of speech. They are a dog whistle to the intellectually lazy, a reassurance that one need not read, one need not think, one need not know. This is his first, most potent appeal, the comforting suggestion that the world is simple, and those who claim otherwise are merely trying to fool you. It is the apotheosis of the Philistine. The appeal of Donald Trump is inextricably linked to his conspicuous vulgarity. This is a man whose public persona is a carefully curated tapestry of gaudiness, petty vendetta, and the sort of tasteless display one might expect from a third-rate real estate mogul, which, of course, he is. Yet, in a nation often plagued by the suffocating politeness and focus group-tested blandness of conventional politicians, this profanity registers as a kind of perverse authenticity. He speaks the unspeakable, not through courage or wit, but through sheer, unadulterated lack of inhibition. He is the boorish uncle at Thanksgiving who says the quiet part out loud. And for his supporters, this transgression of social norms is not a vice, but a radical virtue. It is seen as a sign that he is fighting back against the suffocating constraints of political correctness, that great bugbear of the easily offended. Hitchens, who was a champion of robust, even offensive, free speech, would have recognized this dynamic immediately, but he would have fiercely separated true political dissent from mere lowbrow theatricality. Trump's vulgarity is not the brilliant subversive obscenity of an artist or satirist. It is the calculated crudeness of a showman who understands that outrage is the most reliable currency in the attention economy. He does not elevate. He lowers the common denominator, making the masses feel cleverer by making the public square undeniably stupider. He manages to convince the electorate that their most ungenerous knee-jerk impulses are, in fact, profound political positions. At the core of Trump's being, and thus at the heart of his appeal, lies a case of pathological narcissism so profound that it borders on the solipsistic, the philosophical belief that only one's own mind is sure to exist. For Trump, the world, the nation, and its political systems are merely extensions of his own ego, existing primarily to affirm his greatness. This self-obsession, which might be deemed repulsive in private life, is paradoxically a source of strength in a political landscape yearning for a strongman. His complete inability to admit error, his constant and transparent self-praise, and his relentless projection of his own failures onto others are not seen as weaknesses, but as evidence of unwavering conviction. He presents himself not as a humble servant of the public, but as the irreplaceable hero, the singular figure capable of solving all problems merely by being himself. This appeals directly to a psychological need in the electorate, the desire to outsource their own anxieties and doubts to a figure who claims to possess absolute certainty. The supporter need not worry about policy details or contradictory facts. They need only trust in the unfolding performance of the great leader. Hitchens always viewed charismatic leaders, particularly those with a messianic complex, with the deepest skepticism. He understood that the transference of personal judgment to a supreme leader is the first and most fatal step toward totalitarian thinking. Trump's governance is not about principle. It is an extended, exhausting argument about the perfect righteousness of his own existence. To truly grasp the foundational appeal, one must look past the man and into the fertile soil of resentment upon which his political house is built. This is the most cynical and effective dimension of the Trump phenomenon. It is not an appeal to hope, or to unity, or to the better angels of our nature, but a calculated mobilization of anger, grievance, and perceived victimhood. His voters are not merely expressing policy preferences, they are expressing a deep, cultural sense of being left behind. They feel patronized by the coastal elites, mocked by the media, and economically displaced by globalization. Trump does not offer complex solutions to these real problems. He offers revenge. He gives them permission to hate the things they feel hate them. He validates their suspicion that the system is rigged, not by the wealthy few, but by the intellectual and cultural institutions. Hitchens was a master dissector of the politics of grievance, whether it came from the religious or the political far left or far right. He would recognize that Trump's genius lies in his ability to make the majority feel like an oppressed minority. He transforms what should be a conversation about collective responsibility into a simplified battle between US, the pure, patriotic heartland, and them, the insidious forces of political correctness, globalism, and diversity. This politics of resentment is a cheap and highly addictive opiate, dulling the pain of economic struggle while diverting the anger toward cultural scapegoats. The modern political sphere is not a debate hall, it is a televisual arena, and Trump is, above all, a creature of the camera. His appeal rests heavily on the perpetual spectacle he creates. Every tweet, every rally, every off-the-cuff remark is a calculated distraction, a bright, flashing object designed to draw the eye away from his staggering lack of political depth or ideological consistency. This relentless focus on the present, on the immediacy of the conflict du jour, has a devastating side effect: the suppression of history. Trump, being entirely unmoored from historical context, ensures that his supporters are equally unencumbered. Every event is treated as unprecedented, every crisis as an existential threat, and every political fight as the final, decisive battle. This is essential to his project, for a population with no memory is easily convinced that their current leader is the only one who has ever truly understood them. Hitchens, the consummate historian and polemicist, understood that a free society is anchored by its institutional memory. He would have viewed Trump's constant creation of an alternative reality, the gaslighting of the electorate, as a direct assault on the very foundation of historical truth. By forcing the media and the public to constantly chase his latest absurdity, he achieves a more profound goal: the erasure of accountability for yesterday's falsehoods and the complete fatigue of the critical faculties. The spectacle ensures that we are always looking, but never truly seeing. In the end, the enduring appeal of Donald Trump is a symptom of a deeper cultural and economic shift, the triumphalism of the petty bourgeoisie. This is not a Marxist analysis of class, but a socio-cultural observation of taste, ambition, and worldview. Trump represents the successful, yet deeply insecure, arrivist, the man who has accumulated wealth but not wisdom, power but not grace. His supporters are drawn to his version of success, the gold plating, the hyperbolic boasting, the relentless emphasis on winning at all costs. It is a celebration of materialistic ambition, devoid of any ethical or intellectual constraint. He is the fantasy of the self-made man, unburdened by the niceties of inherited wealth or the moral obligations of established power. Hitchens would have observed this phenomenon with a mixture of contempt and anthropological fascination. He despised the crassness of unchecked capitalism when it corroded culture, and he viewed the political rise of a figure like Trump as the ultimate, unfortunate outcome of prioritizing the transactional over the spiritual, the immediate over the eternal. Trump's enduring appeal is the confirmation that, for a significant segment of the electorate, the American experiment has devolved into a simple, brutal competition for dominance and display. He is the answer to the question, what happens when a nation decides that money is the only measure of genius and a bully is the only believable voice of authority? It is a sad, vulgar victory and a tragedy for the Republic.